all started, I think, in the interests of time, and I'll keep watching for him, and he can join us when he connects. But I think what we'll do is we'll just go through some of the preliminary stuff. I'll call the meeting to order. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Okay, there being none, we will go on to the approval of the minutes. For Heritage Center of Wellington, the August 11 minutes. Are there any errors or omissions anyone wishes to bring forward? Okay, there being none, can I'm assuming you do minutes by consensus, or do you move and second by consensus? Okay, so can I assume we have consensus to approve the minutes as published? All those in favor? Okay. Those are approved. So the first item on the agenda is the partial demolition of the listed property. I will bring in Mr. Krosner. Is there anyone else, Mariana, that's scheduled to be brought in on this first one? Oh, Mr. Riley as well, correct? Okay, then I will bring those two in now. Oh, we've lost Mr. Riley. Welcome, Mr. Crozier, is that correct? Okay. You're going to have to unmute. Let me show you the button.
I've got it.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We're waiting for the chair to join us. So in the interim, I'm going to just, in the interest of time, so that we can move along and proceed with the meeting. I'm just watching for the chair. So as soon as he's available, I will bring him in and he can take over.
Okay, great.
Okay, Mariana, do you want to just introduce the application, give us a brief overview, and then I'll ask the applicant to provide any additional information.
Sure, I will take us through. This is for 515, I believe. That's the first one on the agenda right here. Yep. 515 St. George Street East in Fergus. It's on the north side of the street, I believe. So it's for demolition of the rear one-story addition and carport. So the photos were circulated with the agenda. My understanding is the plan is to construct a new attached garage and rear addition. And so on the agenda tonight is basically because it is a listed heritage property, it is coming to the committee for a recommendation to council on, as to whether the demolition should be permitted. And as you may already know, that the only method of stopping the demolition is through designation. So you would need to make a recommendation for designation if you don't feel that the demolition should proceed. So I understand, and perhaps Mr. Crozier can provide some additional information, but I know that the addition and garage were built on this property, I think it was sometime in the 1970s. But they can, I guess he can provide some additional information, but that's basically the basis of the application.
Sure. Would you like me to speak at this point?
Yes.
Or should we wait for the chair? Or
I do not see him, so we're proceeding as with the application.
Okay, so I have, I'm assuming you have the three images that were provided that show the existing house, basically from three aspects. Image one shows the existing house from the St. George's Street, showing the carport. Image two shows the rear of the house with additions put in, and then oops. You're also showing an image that I have sent along, which is a design image showing as-built drawings, basically of the same images. So you initially saw a perspective. This is a site plan, the front elevation facing the street, the east elevation with carport, the rear elevation from the backyard showing sort of an amalgamation of additions. The stone portion that's on the right is not matching the stone of the original house. I would call it crazy quilter 5-point design, and doesn't match the taped rubble and square cut stone that's part of the existing, and is a facing stone, and as the Carrie O'Kane had said, was an addition that was done in the 70s. So I guess part of why we're doing this is that the quality of the additions that were done in the 1970s are poor. Part of the rear addition, which is part of the house proper, or has a dirt floor crawl space underneath the majority of it. And there are construction and sort of building science issues with the addition. And as I said, the aluminum siding, the stone that doesn't match the existing house, and the roof lines and so on, my clients don't feel suits their needs, and also doesn't fit with the existing sort of Ontario farmhouse style of the building that it is. Any questions?
Okay, yes, what I'll do is I'll ask any committee members if they have any questions of either Mariana or the applicant. Nancy?
I just was curious in terms of when the additions were built in the 70s, was there any kind of approval requirements then? Was there a heritage committee that would have to approve it, or like were there any historical records in terms of what discussions were when they did the original edition?
I can speak to that. No, there would not have been any approvals. Even today, there would not be any heritage approvals for the new addition. It would, because it's only a listed property, and that property, properties were only allowed to be listed as non-designated properties relatively recently. So in the 1970s, it wouldn't have even been part of that legislation or anything like that. So it was recently, more recently in the last decade, added as a listed property to protect it from interim protection from demolition, just so that we can have a second look at it for 60 days before it's demolished. But given that it's not a designated heritage property, there's no approval requirement for any new construction.
Okay, I just noticed our chair, Bill, has joined us. Bill, I've been kind of taking the committee through the process in the interest of time. Did you wish to take over the chair now or wait till the next application? It's totally up to you.
Yeah, I'm fine to go ahead if you can hear me okay. Everything's working fine.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm just coming in the middle, so maybe I'll back up enough to just say hi to Kevin and welcome.
Hello. Hello, Phil.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. So we're talking about the proposed demolition on 515 St. George Street, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Yeah. And your question, I assume you'd asked a question to Mariana then about the demolition process and the listing, or?
No, I hadn't. I was just going through the project in terms of what was being demolished, was built in the 1970s, is of poor quality, and both from a construction perspective, as well as not being, arguably not appropriate for the existing building that's there. We are also not touching the primary piece, which is the Ontario Farm house itself. It's large, it is being left intact. All openings and apertures that face out of the building are being left intact. The roof lines are being left intact. We're removing parts that have been added that were done in a replica style of stone, which I would call crazy quilter 5-point, which doesn't match the stone of the existing house. And in my opinion, doesn't go with the house, doesn't go with the heritage style of the house. And then the carport additions and other parts of the addition on the back and side, the east side of the house, are aluminum siding, have low pitch roof lines that don't match the massing of the existing house, or don't do anything, well, they're just poorly done.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So at this point, just open it up to questions from the committee then. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin, thanks for coming tonight. It's always nice to have you to sort of map us through it again. Do you mind, Devin, do you mind bringing that back up again and have maybe Kevin walk us through it again?
Sure.
Just so we understand that, I think I see it now, what you're talking about, the pitch, but maybe when it's up, you can speak through it one more time and then we can get a good look at it.
Sure. The images that are being shown sort of quickly here. So starting at the beginning, this is a perspective taken from the street. So we had done as-built drawings of the existing house. The stone that I'm showing on the existing house is in some ways a graphic representation. It's a taped mixture of taped and rubble and square cut stone in the corners, which would be typical of the sort of construction of this era of home. So the front picture, which is being displayed right now, shows the majority of what I would say is the original piece of the house. If we go to the next couple images, so this is a site plan, and then so front, we can go to the elevations, I think is probably the more point. So from the front elevation, on the left side of the image, there was an addition that is part of the house, which is 1 story. The roof pitch is significant. Well, it's basically half of the roof pitch of the main house. The carport on the right-hand side is of aluminum siding and is, heading towards being a flat roof at 2.5, 2.25, and 12. And again, was sort of done to, obviously to park a car. But doesn't do a very good job of that. And if we switch to the next image, this is the east elevation. So you can see the carport. The roof line continues along behind the house, coming up underneath the half story and underneath the soffit. Again, is aluminum siding, low pitch asphalt roof. And then the rear, which is the next image, I believe. So this kind of shows, I think, best the additions that were attached to the house. Again, more as a graphic, not really showing accuracy. The stone part, which is the low part at the back of the house, is done in 5-point or crazy quilt style stone and doesn't match the existing stone on the house. There are crickets and saddle roofs to sort of make the geometry of the roofs. I imagine it was sort of done in pieces. So you can see there's a little bit of a cricket that oversits the sort of gable end of the one of the additions. Excuse me. And so it's all very low, sits back behind the house, doesn't suit the current owner's needs, and also I believe detracts from the existing house. That's my opinion, and the opinion of the owners. So they were looking to remove the additions that were done in the 70s or perhaps earlier for parts of them, and replace it with something that more closely followed the lines or the massing of the existing house, giving them a partial 2-story addition as well as having a true garage attached to the house. So one of the considerations as well in terms of a heritage building is that from other heritage work that I've done, that it needs to sort of work with the times. This is a property with current market value, which is obviously a much more than previous. And so my clients are looking to improve the property so that it has, legs in terms of moving forward and has value beyond which it has now. So our goal was to maintain the primary piece, which is the existing house, and do additions which were more in keeping with the existing house and not try and replicate stone. Replication tends to not work very well in a heritage position from other work that I've done. And so the additions that we're doing will have wood siding, roof pitches that more closely match the existing house, and obviously of better quality, meeting sort of the amenity of what the client requires. Any other questions? I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Any follow-up on that, Don? Good? Okay. I don't quite have my full screen here, but does anyone else have anything for Kevin? And
Aaron's asking a question, I think, but it's
okay, Aaron, go ahead.
quiet.
That's, we don't hear you. No, not yet. Okay, sure, go ahead and call. Yep. I see Erin's chat. She might try to call in.
Okay.
Can I just ask, Kevin, while we're waiting,
Yes.
we did circulate the new, I think one of the elevations for the new, just from the street,
Okay.
just so the committee has a perspective.
Okay.
Do you have that, Devlin? So again, the committee, just for reference, it's not, this is not a designated property, so the committee is not really making any decisions on the new. The only decision point here would be if the committee feels that it's entirely inappropriate, then the committee could make a recommendation to designate. So that's really the question being asked here is whether the demolition can happen or there should be any objection. And if there is any objection to the new construction, then it can only happen through designation of the property to stop it. So just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, and yeah, exactly. So the question will be, once we've satisfied our interest in learning more about this project, the question will be, do we recommend the demolition? I believe, yeah.
That's right.
So Kevin, I just had my own question for you. I'm just curious to know if the internal wall, if any of that stone internally will be removed, I guess obviously to expand doorways or passageways, or is there just going to be a wholesale kind of opening in the back of the house?
Mr. Chair, there's an existing opening that goes from the existing kitchen into what was the family room at the back, which is the existing addition that sort of sprawls along the back of the house. We are widening that a little bit by about 2 feet, but otherwise all exterior walls, all openings, the existing roof line, the soffits, the fascia, are all going to be maintained as is. We're not expanding those things or opening things up anymore. Largely the internal configuration of the house is being maintained or actually improved. It's a center hall entrance and we're maintaining that. Currently it kind of opens up into the house. So in conversation with the client, talked about the type of house this is and the kind of homage that needs to happen when you have an older house like this, that you can't you have to work with it as opposed to trying to define the entrance as where it is or try and relocate it. You just work with the center hall plan that's there. And then there was work done on the house, I believe, when the additions were done, maybe in the 70s, or maybe there were internal additions that happened at some other point. So the stair at some point was relocated towards the back of the house, but we're not changing it back, or we're not changing it just from a price point and the footprint of what's going on inside the house, which I don't think is really part of the heritage perspective as well at this point. But we're trying to do our best to maintain the quality of windows, a double hung, some of the features of what the original house had. Obviously, the window quality is quite poor. So we are replacing windows, but the windows are going to be done at a fairly high standard. and we're maintaining double hung as opposed to going to awning or casement or something else in that respect.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the foundation at all, will that remain intact then? And
It will. So the additions on the back, part of the concern for our clients and why we couldn't just add on within the footprint is they were all done on slab on grade, and some areas I don't believe there was any frost wall. So there was some shifting of the additions, and it was actually pulling away from the existing house. And this is part of the reason why we abandoned and are looking to abandon the existing additions, and we're looking to demolish the new parts of the house because they were actually detracting both from an aesthetic point of view, arguably, but also from a technical point of view, we're affecting the structure of the existing house.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Kevin then from the committee? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you go.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I'm on multiple devices now. Sorry, Devlin, is it possible to see the front elevation of the proposed development again, or addition? Along with Kevin's description in terms of how much, do we have a front face of the proposed elevation with the old house? That one, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, I just was trying to get a better sense of, as Kevin was describing it, the extent of the addition on both sides of
Sure.
the house.
Can I speak to
Yeah.
this? Just while we're...
Yeah.
Okay. So the front piece of the house, which is the original, sits forward. All the additions are fairly far back from the main part of the house. We're not covering up any existing windows or doors. Everything is at the back of the house. My clients did want to add a second story to the addition on the back of the house in order to meet their needs. We've actually extended the pitch of the front face, which you can see towards the, again, I can't point at things because it's not in front of me, we're not all together. But basically the pitch face or facet of the house that is forms the main gable going from east to west has been extended up onto the addition because, and I've done this a number of times in other heritage or older houses, it tends to, if you're standing on the ground, and actually if we were to go to the very first image, so SK1, or not, sort of pre-SK, there we go. So the second story addition, even though it's taller than the main house, it recedes away from the existing house. So standing up close to the house, you don't really see the roof line. It recedes back. The car garage addition, which is on the east side, which you see in this image, again, is at the back of the house, doesn't oversit anything that is a feature on the existing house. And again, I believe, or my clients believe, that is an aesthetic improvement over a carport with a low slung aluminum clad roof line.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your questions, Aaron?
Okay, I'm not sure if Aaron is back. Aaron, can you hear us? Perhaps she's had communication problem again. I'm going to assume that. There we go. Aaron, are you okay with that answer? Yeah. Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, then basically the question is, are there any, all those who are in favor of recommending the demolition can go forward. Perhaps we can just do this by consensus. Are there any opposed to the demolition? Okay, I don't see anybody opposing it, so everyone is in favor of the demolition? Yep. Okay, so by consensus then, we can recommend then that this demolition go forward.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
You actually have to have a resolution.
A resolution, oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, you should have a mover and a seconder.
All right, so then we'll have a formal resolution then that Heritage Center Wellington will recommend, or formal resolution that Heritage Center Wellington does not oppose the demolition of this, as described in the proposal for 515 St. George Street. Is that adequate? Okay, so all those in favor then of the resolution? And no one is opposed to that? Okay, so the resolution is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How'd I do with that, Carrie? That okay?
Devlin, did you get a mover and a seconder?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. So Devlin, so Don, mover, and a seconder. Okay, I saw Aaron first. Okay, sorry. My apologies.
And all those in favor?
There we go.
Great.
And anybody opposed? Okay, no, unanimous decision.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm familiar with some of your work, and you're
great.
just tremendous, just in the neighborhood here.
Great. Thank you.
And your work is outstanding. And so
Great.
it's
Thank you very much.
great to have you contribute.
I
Thank you.
hope to improve more houses in Center Wellington.
Hope you do.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Good. Anyone, I just want to apologize for being late. My computer decided to do an update about 10 minutes before. So I sort of got on, but it didn't seem to be functioning properly. So thank you, Carrie, for being present to help start the meeting and get the program.
No worries.
Okay. And so we have another, we have 35 Sophia.
Yes, just give me a minute to bring in, I think there are 3 people waiting, so just give me a minute to bring them in.
Okay.
Okay, everyone should be in. I think
Okay, yes, I see everyone now. Okay, so welcome. I see Gary Smith, and I believe it's Gail Richardson. Welcome. Aiden McCoy and Rob World, I believe. So again, we have a request for a demolition of an addition, of an older addition to the property. So perhaps, I'm not sure who would like to go first on this application. Perhaps Barry, or would you like to have Rob go forward, who's a designer, I believe?
We'll let Rob talk to the design and the demolition, and then we can jump in and ask any questions. I'm the contractor. Rob is the designer.
Okay, Rob, so you can go ahead if you want to just give us a brief summary of your request for the demolition and what it is you had planned for, your rationale behind the demolition, and then your plans.
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Excellent. So basically, we're just going to take off a very small addition that was on the back side of this house. It's not very energy efficient. It doesn't seem to be matching in the style of the existing home either. So we're hoping to take it down and put something that's more in keeping with the home, and that gives Barry what he needs with the addition as well. So a little more living space and a master bedroom upstairs.
Okay, and so does anyone in the delegation then have anything to add to that in terms of, perhaps I can just open up to questions then, and for the delegation. Okay, don't see anyone wanting to ask any questions. So I guess from that point, perhaps Mariana, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No, this one is quite similar to the last one, fairly straightforward. It's just the rear addition, the sunroom that's being removed. And I think also there were some elevations circulated with the agenda that show what's being proposed, which I think is basically a 1.5-story rear addition set completely behind the existing house again. Believe it's board and batten, if I'm not mistaken. Perhaps Rob or Aidan can speak further to the design on that if the committee wishes. But again, it's the question before the committee is whether demolition should be permitted. If not, designation is the alternative. And also, although the committee is not making the decision on the new design because it's not a designated heritage property and no heritage permit is required, the committee may also recommend designation if it feels that the design is completely inappropriate, and designation will just give it that basically the ability for the committee to have a say and council to have a say in the new construction. So that's what the decision making is for this application right now, and I guess I'll turn it back over to Phil.
Yep. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Yeah, I think does anyone have any I think it's interesting that this it's actually another sort of form of an Ontario farmhouse style, but a completely almost different approach to the addition, and yet again different enough that it's not trying to mimic or make us think that it's an original construction. It's quite clearly an addition, but in a sort of a different take on the addition. More of a, I would say, a classic look to it. But again, that's not really our purview. So if there's not any additional questions on the demolition or suggestions, concerns about what is proposed for the addition, then we could move straight to the resolution. Okay, so the resolution phase, if you would like me to go ahead, I'm sort of seeing people are in agreement, would be, the resolution would be then to allow for the demolition of the addition as outlined in the application for 35 Sophia Street, and I don't have the exact details on the address. And if that is adequate wording, then would you have someone who would move that resolution? Okay, Nancy, and a seconder. I see Nanette. Good. So all those, first of all, is anyone opposed to the resolution to allow the demolition? Sorry, all those in favor of the resolution to allow the demolition? Okay, and opposed? So that resolution is carried, and I'd like to thank the delegation for attending.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really, really easy.
Yeah, well, we had practice on the first one, I think, which was very similar in some ways. So I'm starting to get with the role here now.
Actually, since, can I just add, and I should have done this on the last one too, I apologize, just for the applicant's information is that it will be in a staff report going to Committee of the Whole and Council. So it will be next Monday on the 19th. It would go to Committee of the Whole, and then for final decision at Council the following week, and then you could apply for your permits.
So yeah, and if you have any more questions, you can just contact Mariana, and she's available. Okay, well, thank you very much. So we can. So the next one is 325 Garafraxa. So I'll just wait for Carrie to bring in the group. Any questions there while we're waiting? I'm just going to scroll down to this. Is everybody happy with their own agendas? Do we need anything up on the screen for this, or are you happy just viewing what's available through the agendas for the design and so on? Everybody's okay with that? Sorry, I'm still trying to find my agenda here. Everything just messed up today. Okay, so welcome Matthew, Graham, and do we have another? Just Matthew and Graham in attendance, Carrie?
Graham is for the Hillside application. So Matthew is for 325 Garafraxa, which is the next
okay.
application. And do you know, Matthew, if Scott Grant is joining us?
No, I'm going to take it myself.
Okay.
Okay. So welcome, Matthew. We're just about to, you have a 3-story or a 3-bay garage that you're interested in demolishing so that you can then build a newer, more, I guess, more usable structure.
For sure. So I believe the committee has kind of the notes from Scott, who's our contractor to do this. We're in the old, what's known as the DAS house. So it's 325 Garafraxa, which is across from the new accessible park. So corner of Garafraxa and Perry Street, Garafraxa West. So the garage is only 19 years old. It's we had a permit pull, or the previous owner had a permit pulled when they built it. The garage is very poorly built. I'm not sure how it passed inspection, to be blunt, but it's there. So it's not really finishable because there's so many flaws we'd have to undo. We'd rather just kind of start from scratch. It needs to be extended as well because you can't fit a normal vehicle, even a minivan, inside of it. So we are looking to demolish it and then rebuild. There is no connection at all to the Heritage Building, which is about 25 feet away, which is an old Ontario farmhouse built somewhere between 1850 and 1870. We're not sure exactly, depends which date you follow. But there's no connection at all. The only services trenched in right now are electrical. So we're going to be trenching in gas, water, and fiber as well. We've got all the surveying done for grading and all the rest in terms of how we're going to deal with water management, all the rest from Derek Graham. So I'm happy to answer any questions tonight, but it's really a kind of mutually exclusive thing to Heritage because we're not touching the Heritage Building at all.
Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward, I would say. Are there any questions then from the committee regarding the demolition of the structure? Okay, and I believe there's also included in that is that stone wall beside the building as well.
Yeah, stone's an interesting word because it's certainly not anything like what the house is made of, but it's a stone type structure that's basically falling over now because of frost heaving. So it's like we're not even going to reclaim it because it's not even worth using, but there's a retaining wall for soil right now that's coming down as well.
Okay. Are there any questions concerning the proposed new garage for Matthew? Okay, so in that case, we can move to the resolution. Which would be to allow the demolition of the 3-bay garage as described in the request at 325 Garafraxa Street West. And do we have someone who would move that motion or that resolution? Sherry, and seconders. Don? Okay, so the question is then, all those in favor of allowing the demolition of the 3-bay garage at 325 Garafraxa? Those opposed? Okay, so that resolution is carried, and thank you very much. Then
Thank you very much.
Matthew, yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good, so that completes, I'm just trying to get some semblance of being back in the loop here. So where that's 5.3 is completed, we're back to 5.4, which is a heritage permit application through 230 Hillside Drive in Fergus. And that was going to be Graham. Graham, hi. Welcome to the meeting. Thank you for being here. And we just need to unmute your mic. That's it. It's sort of at the bottom corner of the screen, there's a button to click. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. Just turn it, you're a little bit soft, but I think we can So if you speak up, so I think it, yeah. So I think what you want to do is a fairly simple installation of a vent and a gas line. I don't know if there's any more description you want to add to to what you've already included in our agenda.
No, other than originally we were gonna do it above, and now we're gonna do it below ground, as long as you have that.
Right. Is that a house like what sort of cladding is on the house now? I'm just curious to know, is that like a stucco on top of stone, or?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a fair amount of stone you'll have to go through to make the opening, or?
Yeah, about 18 inches.
Okay. Any questions then for Graham on this? Okay, then as far as the process is concerned, I believe we need Mariana, can you just fill me in on the process then for this? Is this a resolution or an actual allowing the permit to go forward?
Yes, it's a committee decision on the permit, allowing the permit. Under the delegated authority bylaw for heritage permits, it would not need to go to council because it's, again, not visible from the road and relatively minor. It's not an addition or anything that would significantly impact the attributes. So it could go by way, it doesn't need to go to council, but still requires a committee decision and committee approval. Okay, so the would then be a motion to approve for the permit proposal to go forward? That's right. It would be a motion to approve heritage permit application HP 2020-004 for the property at 230 Hillside Drive. Okay, so the question is then, do we have a motion to approve heritage permit 2020-004 at 230 Hillside Drive? All in favor? Oh, sorry. Do we have somebody to move that motion? Aaron, and a seconder? Nancy? All in favor? And opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Graham, sorry. Thank you very much for that short session, and good luck with that.
All right, so thank you. And so we're fine to proceed?
I believe Mariana will have some information on that.
I can speak to you about that after. It's I would just be issuing, the chief building official would be issuing the heritage permit. So I'll get that process started and let you know when it's ready.
How long is it approximately to get that ready?
I should have that for you this week, and then you can apply for your permit.
Okay, great.
Your building permit. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Graham.
Thank you.
Subcommittee updates. So from the Public Relations 6.1 and Education Subcommittee, Nancy or Jean, or both?
I don't have anything to add to what we've circulated over the past little while in between meetings, unless, due to COVID, I don't think that there's a lot that's going on, but Jean did send an email to suggest that there was some work we could do if desired in the interim. And I don't know, Jean, I'll leave you to chat about that if you like.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, so no update.
Okay. Thanks very much then. I think let's move on then to 6.2 Designated Properties Subcommittee. And that, I think we have, Nico is not able to attend. I don't know, Aaron, if there was anything that had any activity that went forward during that time that you're aware of? Okay, I think you're saying no. You just hold up a big piece of paper. Okay, no updates at this time. If my screen just died, come on. And that brings us to the Municipal Register Subcommittee. I can give a little update on that. Unfortunately, I had big plans today to head out this afternoon, a beautiful afternoon, and start doing some photographing out by Bellwood. And unfortunately, the program and the whole collector app decided to update itself, and the maps and so on were gone. And I've sent out a message to Greg. So he's going to probably be able to talk me through it tomorrow, and maybe we can get back to getting some photographs in before the snow flies, but while the leaves are down. So that'll happen shortly, and take advantage of this little window to get some more photographs done and maybe get finished up on this part of the project. Okay, so Mariana, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Any of those three process?
Just for the Designated Properties Subcommittee, we received a request just today actually for some preliminary feedback on designated property, but because there will be a heritage permit application required, but the owner is just looking for some guidance from the Heritage Committee. So I we'll circulate that to the Designated Property Subcommittee to provide some preliminary feedback, and you can circulate it to others if you wish, and then provide some comments. It's for the Foundry Building attached to the Fergus Marketplace. It's been recently changed ownership, and I think there are some plans proposed for that. So they, as I said, want some preliminary comments on that before they make application for an actual heritage permit. So I will circulate that as soon as I have it. And on the rural register, just along with what Phil said, is that we're prepared to do the photos of the next section and the site visits to gather those photos as soon as the leaves fall. So hopefully, we've actually already got half the township done. So basically everything north of the Grand River has now been photographed and reviewed for potential additions. So we'll be working, I guess, on the next portion now, which would be the southeast quadrant of the township. So we're making pretty good progress, and we'll probably be ready sometime, hopefully in the spring, to take that forward to the public and then to council. And there are some new regulations that will likely need to be followed by then that come into effect in January regarding notification to those owners that are going to be added to the register. So we'll follow those newer protocols and talk about having a similar public information workshop on that as we did in the last go around. And but that's the intention in terms of timing for the rural register.
Okay, thanks. And the last item, can someone just read out the last item on the agenda there, because I've lost my agenda on my tablet again. So I believe it has to do with the reviewing of the new Heritage Act, changes to the Heritage Act, which was an item that Jean, I believe, forwarded to Mariana. So Jean, maybe you could elaborate on that in place of me, because I just don't have it in front of me. Mute.
Yeah, no, no, I can't elaborate on it. These are changes that were made to the Act. It was sent out as a link by Devlin on Friday, I believe. And I have to have people read it. Do they have questions? Do they know what the changes are? Mariana didn't do a review, and I understand why. But do people have people read it? Do they have questions? Do you know what the changes are and how it will impact what we're doing?
I think that's probably 2 or 3 questions there, but I think they're good. It is something that we could perhaps try and help with the review by posting some of the other reviews that have been done by other municipalities and including those in a package that we send out to you. It's kind of been short notice and it's been over the long weekend, so I'm not sure.
Can I add a little bit, Phil?
Sure. Yep.
So I know there are municipalities that are compiling comments to the ministry and to post to the register. So the 2 that I know of so far, I know Heritage Oakville is receiving a report today from their staff, and I know that their staff have gone through the proposed regulations and what it might mean in terms of municipal processes. So I can forward that submission. And I think Amherstburg, the township or municipality, it has also submitted comments. The Oakville comments are quite lengthy, but they do go through each new proposed regulation and make a comment on that. And Amherstburg, their submission is a little bit shorter, mostly focused on the fact that they don't feel that the LPAT, which is the former OMB, the Ontario Municipal Board, which is now the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, is qualified enough to review heritage appeals. So they're recommending that that not happen and that it remain with the Conservation Review Board because they do have heritage expertise on that panel. So those 2 I can definitely forward, and that'll give you a better sense of what those regulations might mean. Unfortunately, I have not had the ability to go through those regulations to provide a more detailed analysis, but Oakville has done a pretty good job of doing that, and it does help you understand. Some of them are, the regulations are sort of technical and just tighten up processes and give a little more transparency and accountability for developers and property owners to understand the processes a little bit better and the timing. And other things are, excuse me, fairly new in terms of notice requirements. For example, when a municipality is proposing to list a non-designated property in the register, so there's some notice requirements for that, which the Act currently doesn't have, is silent on. Many municipalities did that anyway, but there was no consistency. So that's been, they are attempting to clarify that aspect. And I'm trying to remember if there's anything else significant. What I can do, as I said, I'll forward the other submissions, and maybe I'll just sort of bullet point what they mean in terms of the regulations.
Okay.
If that helps. And then the deadline is November 5th, I believe. So if the committee does wish to provide some kind of submission, I know we did last year when the regulations first came out. I think Phil and Jean put together a submission to the ministry. So if the committee wishes to do something similar, then that would be encouraged.
Yeah, okay, I think that's something we could handle. The last submission, the last letter we sent was in May of 2019. I'm not sure we got it to the right minister. It went to the right department or the right ministry. I'm not sure we had quite the right name, but I think it did get through, and we could perhaps even include that in a package that we send out at Mariana, just so people know what we've already commented on. And then if there are additional comments that come through from the committee or that you'd like to make between now and probably the end of October would be the latest, then we could try and include those in a short submission as well that we could work on jointly. Is that something you'd be interested in helping with then, Jean, again, or?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so perhaps we can collaborate with Mariana and myself and anyone else who wants to send in any additional information, and then we can make a submission. Is it something we do online like the last time?
I can't remember. But I'll find out.
Okay, because last time we just submitted it through, I don't know the exact, there isn't a sort of a universal online.
There isn't online.
Yeah. Okay,
Just Mariana, to your point about Oakville, I read their report. It's excellent. It's an excellent example.
Yes, it's a very detailed analysis. It's good for everybody to read through because it does explain exactly what each regulation means, especially in terms of municipal processes and just how it might impact municipalities.
okay. I believe if, seeing as I don't have my agenda, Carrie, we have completed the agenda for this evening? Okay,
Yes, there are no other items on there.
okay. Was there anyone else who had any comments on this evening, or? I know it does seem like, yeah, go ahead, Jean.
I just wanted to apologize for being late. I had a meeting before this and it went over, so my apologies.
Apologies accepted from the chair, who was also late. So, yeah, technical items sometimes crop up. I should have been a little bit more on the ball and gotten things organized a bit sooner, but the full update on this computer takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and who knew? Anyway, thanks very much, everyone, for attending the meeting this evening, and there'll be some updates then as we discussed coming forward. And if you're able to comment on the proposed changes, then that would be really appreciated, or on any of the other items that Nancy and Jean sent out, I believe in their email a little while ago concerning the Heritage Awards. So comments again on that would be great. Good. Thank you very much, Carrie, for being here this evening, and also Devlin. We appreciate your help. And with that, I guess I can adjourn the meeting. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon, hopefully, in some capacity. Night.